Not even sure I need a microphone. We're on? Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Well, I think we need the microphone because we are recording this tonight. So what we'll be able to do is eventually put this on our website over the next 3 to 4 days, maybe next week we'll have it available almost immediately. In case there are any edits we need to do, we can do that as well. But once again, thank you for attending our Future Ready Index overview. We have announced this probably for the last month. We have been anxiously awaiting the Pennsylvania Department of Education new website, which provides really all stakeholders within Pennsylvania an overview of how their schools, our schools, everyone's school is performing academically throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And this website has been really in development for the last 2 years within the Department of Education. And what you will see tonight is truly an overview of that process, but also comparing the previous accountability template, which was the PA School Performance Profile. And I know all of these acronyms and words that you'll see up here on the screen really come down to basically achievement and growth on the PSSA and Keystone examinations and other factors that are rolled into basically the accountability of the schools. So with that, when you see up here on the screen the SPP, and that's something that we've referred to probably for the last 5 years, and that is the School Performance Profile. This is a snapshot of the old, and I'll spend just a few minutes describing this actual site. This is a public domain. It's a site that was available to the public, PA School Performance Profile, and it relied on an aggregate score. And if you see the building level academic score, the old system analyzed all of the achievement and growth, meaning students who passed a test with proficiency, advanced, proficient, basic, or below, but also whether or not we were able to grow an individual child. And through all of those factors on the right-hand side, they were able to determine a score that was also color-coded for an individual building within a school district. So if you see that score of 87.6, imagine if this represented, say, Gateway High School. It would be color-coded as blue, and you see the color-coded underneath the performance data listed above. And light blue for that category would be almost equivalent to like a B. Green is still good. Yellow would mean you're performing below the expectations or the average of the state. And red means that there is significant evidence that that building or school or district needs support and help. Within this calculation on the right-hand side, if you notice, it has indicators of academic achievement. When we say achievement, that means those students who are passing the PSSA, and that would be reading, math, or science. Also for the Keystone exams, Algebra 1, Biology, and English Lit. 40% of that score is made up of how many kids passed. 40% would be what they call growth. Growth is a very, very difficult process for all stakeholders, families, parents to understand, and even teachers, as we found out. Think about it this way with growth. The first year of the assessment is grade 3 for our students. All children receive the results at the end of the year over the summer. From that data point, they're able to then project for the following year in grade 4 a prediction of how your child would score, not only based on that individual score, but also an algorithm of all other students who have performed at that level in the Commonwealth to then project what your child will do for the following year. So after the 4th grade test, if your child meets that predicted level or exceeds it, it's a positive, meaning that child has shown growth. If the child falls below that predicted score, the school, the teacher did not perform adequately with growth on that individual child. And then they roll all of the children into that tally and determine whether or not the kids have achieved growth. And that's 40% of the score. So when you hear PVAS, Pennsylvania Value Added, and achievement, that's 80% total of the score. All other factors, including test participation, students, how many scored advanced, are all calculated into the old profile. A lot of that information is consistent with the new Future Ready Index, with some slight variances. Go to the next slide. Here is a preview of the new Future Ready Index. Once again, this will take a long time for individuals to become comfortable with understanding the complexities of this. And personally, I think the state could have done a better job of really making this a little bit user-friendly. We've had these conversations down at the Allegheny Intermediate Unit for parents to show that, you know, this is complex, it's complicated, but we're going to try to break it down for you very easily tonight. There are 3 basic measures that make up this Future Ready Index. State assessment measures, the first one on the left. OnTrack measures in the middle, but also the new caveat that truly makes up the significant difference from the new and the old is the college and career measures. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in the future here. But the state assessment scores themselves primarily stays the same, meaning when our students or any other student throughout the Commonwealth takes the test, the state wants to know, okay, how many of our students passed, proficient or advanced, and also growth as well. OnTrack measures, they want to ensure comparing state averages to our district, our buildings, and other buildings throughout the Commonwealth, where they will color code it either blue, green, or red. They've condensed it from 5 different colors to 3. Meets or exceeds statewide gold, meets or exceeds interim target, and red not meeting. So they've condensed from 5 to 3. Blue, outstanding, green, doing well, red, not so well. Now there are many buckets that we refer to within this index that significantly give all stakeholders a far deeper dive into the data, which is complex in nature because you're really receiving close to 45 different indicators of information, but if you dive down further, probably close to 200 pieces of data that you'll be looking at compared with the old. If you take a moment to look at this column here to the left, when we talk about achievement, advanced or proficient on state assessment, ELA, math, and science. Growth, exceeded, met, or did not, the color codes. Advanced, percentage of students that scored advanced. And advanced would be the highest mark that they could get either on the PSSA or the Keystone. When you see this column, notice the green arrow pointing down on the first measure, percent proficient advanced in English language arts. The arrow is green, which means it's still good. It's projecting downward, the arrow, meaning the scores have dropped from the previous year. Still good, but they're letting all the stakeholders, principals, administrators, teachers know that from the previous year, it dropped. Likewise, if you look at the academic growth expectations in mathematics and algebra 1, if you see a blue area, it's outstanding that it's blue. But also, from the previous year to this year, the score has increased, trajecting upwards. So when you look at the data, keep in mind that you will see the color-coded system blue, green, or red, but also it'll let you know from one year to the next. That is where the confusion comes in, because when you think about this, you're looking at data from last year, third grade, okay, comparing to this year, third grade, and it's a different group of kids. So you have to think about that as you're examining this data. Also, this data that we're unveiling tonight is from the 2017-18 school year. Here we are in December. The state is truly providing all this information. However, they could do a better job of providing this perhaps over the summer when it's relevant, because we're already right in the middle of the 18-19 school year. So those are the conversations we're having at the state level. When it says the new OnTrack Measures, they want to make sure with this new Future Ready Index that our school or any other school, wherever we're at as far as proficiency percentage-wise, meaning how many kids have passed that test, they want to be able to say, okay, here's an average that you'll see across the Commonwealth for all of math or all of ELA, but then they also want to provide us with a target point, meaning in the year 2030, I believe. Think about this, 2030. They want our school or any other school to be at a specific point of proficiency, meaning we'll just say if we're at 78% proficient right now in ELA grade 3, the target rate may be 90% that we'll have to hit by 2030. What you'll see up here when we dive into our data is for a lot of our indicators, we're already at that point where we have to hit in 2030, which is an outstanding thing. But there are some areas that we need to adjust and get better at, which you'll see in a few minutes. So OnTrack measures also include, which is new, attendance. Heavy emphasis on attendance. When we received initial indicators of this, it was somewhat confusing because we were looking at it as a district as, okay, percentage, average annual percentage of students with our attendance rate for, say, Gateway High School, which was probably close to 90%. However, the state is looking at it as how many kids, percentage-wise, have missed 12 or 4, yeah, it's either 12 or 15 days of school. And if you have a certain percentage of students that miss that many, then you're put on a watch list. So the idea is to provide interventions for children. So if you see them excessively absent from school, you have to address it immediately, because now it's part of this index, which is good, because we do have children who miss a lot of school, and it's our job to ensure that we get them into school. So we do have not only truancy prevention, but some other plans in place to address the excessive absences of children. College and career readiness. One of the things that came out of the Department of Education is we need to do a better job in public education of providing our children with avenues early on to careers of interest. Now, we all know that a sixth grader, you know, by the time they're a senior, will probably have 20 or 30 different ideas of what they want to do in their life, even whenever they get off to college. However, it's our job to begin to prepare kids for an opportunity to say, hey, look, perhaps I want to go into the medical profession or industry. We have located around this campus, UPMC and Forbes and other health networks, businesses. We can provide our students with job shadowing, apprenticeship, go out, visit, learn about these fields to determine, is this something I want to do leading into college? Maybe it's not something I want to do. And also career exploratory programs in the younger ages to help prepare our students for making that decision, along with scheduling over the next several years of their career in education. There are certain portfolios that we have to put together that truly indicate that all kids are being exposed to careers. We do have career inventories that we provide our students with, where they take a little survey, determine, okay, this is what I like to do, these are some of my interests. Perhaps I can have information on these jobs or careers or even colleges, trade school, apprenticeship, military down the road. We are now being judged by that to ensure that our stakeholders, the parents and guardians, know that we are preparing their kids for all avenues of life. Here's an example of what you will see from one of the indicators from a particular building, and it could be any building at Gateway or any other school. When you see English language arts, all students group meets interim goal improvement target. When you see the percent proficient or advanced, that is an indicator of, let's just say, University Park, percent proficient or advanced, 78.5% of the kids passed the PSSA for ELA. The statewide average, and this is just an example, they're showing would be 63%. And then below is that goal that I mentioned earlier of 2030, that the state will require that school that we're referencing to be at by 2030. Now, understanding that it's 2018, some may say, well, we're almost there. Which is true, it's good, it's positive. But we want to exceed that goal. We want to keep improving, doing better. Our goal is, of course, our parents' goal, 100%. We want 100%. And that's where we should be with all of this. Get on to the next slide. These are the buckets. Guy, do you want to take it from here? Yeah, Dennis, Guy?
Okay, as Dr. Short mentioned, within the performance, the three buckets that are really going to gauge our performance as a district, starting first with the state assessments. For Gateway High School, we have all green, which signifies that there's some really good things going on at Gateway High School. If you take a look at the first aspect right there, the percent proficient for ELA, 81%. One thing that we like to joke about already is the fact that we're right there at the state target for 2030. So it's something to be proud of, but we joke too that we hope that everyone doesn't pack it in for the next couple of years. But we know that's not going to occur. We're only going to get better. We're gonna push that bar even higher. When you take a look at mathematics, the algebra, we're to 68.7% proficient, and the statewide goal for 2030, that's 71% right there. So we're sitting pretty good there as well. And even going into the biology, we're to 72% proficient, and statewide goal for 2030, 83%. So we're proud of the work that's happening up there.
I think you can clearly see that math is an issue throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but we have definitely exceeded the average in regular. Anytime you have a question, just.
This particular format, do they double the ELA score like they did in the SPP?
No, that score right there is representative of how many kids, 81% of our kids passed the ELA. So that is an absolute indicator of, 80% of our kids in 11th grade passed that test, which is pretty good. Mm-hmm. I think that's significant because when you look at that average, they're grouping in, as Dr. Rossi had shown up there on a slide, grades 3 through Keystone. So when you see that average, it's all math and all grades. So I think you're absolutely correct.
So that's the Gateway High School achievement. And as we said, the other aspect of this is the growth. And we're also in a pretty good position right there. When you look at the ELA, academic growth score, 77%, exceeds the statewide growth standard already. Also in mathematics, academic growth score of 83, again, exceeds the statewide growth standard. And biology, academic growth score of 100, exceeding the statewide growth standard. So that is definitely something to be proud of. I mean, we like the achievement, of course, but when we see how hard our teachers are working and our students are working, and we see that growth documented like that, that's something we could really celebrate.
And I think what you're going to see over the course of it, there are some areas that we do have some work to do on, but overall with growth as a district, which truly any educator would value more so than the actual achievement piece, the growth of our students within this district is almost second to none, and that's coming from the Allegheny Intermediate Unit. So that is something we should be proud of, and you will see this as we move throughout the indicators. It's an average, it's the best way to describe that.
It's the algorithm they're using with the distribution of students.
I know.
It was achievement. This was the achievement slide.
And trust me when I say, when they were preparing us for this, they pretty much said, am I correct? Do not expect to see blues on these indicators. So the fact that we have them, outstanding.
Now, taking a look at a Gateway Middle with the achievement first, looking at the ELA, percent proficient, 69%, and statewide goal, 2030, the 81%. So we're on track right there. When we take a look at math, we identify this as an area that we're going to definitely work on as far as the achievement goes. But again, this doesn't show the full picture. This percentage for math and also that percentage for biology. Although we're showing that we have some work to do to meet the 2030 goal. If you go to the next slide, when we go into the growth aspect of this, we are excelling. So we're meeting students where they are, and we're making sure that we're providing the growth. If you take a look at the ELA, we're there 77 for the academic growth score, exceeding the standard, the statewide standard. 83 for mathematics, then 100 again for biology. So
7th and 8th grade math throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, you will see scores where they're currently at, believe it or not. This is something that everyone is trying to wrap their hands around because it is math that is a combination of pre-algebra, geometry, and our students have increased a number of different strategies and remediations to help address that. It's not only a gateway problem, it's a problem throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
We'll shift over to Moss Side Middle School and their achievement. You'll notice we have two areas of green. We have the ELA at 68.9% and the math at 56.6%. The science is not applicable, does not apply, as we don't do the PSSA in 5th or 6th grade. That's for science only 4th and 8th grade. So nice job for the achievement at Moss Side. For Moss Side Middle growth, we have a green and a blue. You could see the blue there for, that's math, I believe, at an academic growth score of 90, which is excellent. So nice job of identifying some needs and progressing and meeting the kids where they're at and moving them along the line. Move on to CSE achievement. We do have some work here to do in math, I believe, at this math at 54% compared to the state average of 63%. We have some things in place there that we'll be addressing, but green with the ELA and the science. The science did a nice job, you can see there on the right side. In terms of growth, though, very well done at CSE, 2 blues with the science and the math, and green for the ELA. So growth, we're doing pretty well there. Have some things to address with the achievement.
And I think you've seen throughout these buildings the growth is incredible, and we're doing a fantastic job with that. And we have strategies that have been in place for a number of years that are proven to be working.
Move to Evergreen. Again, nice job at Evergreen. We got 2 greens in ELA and math, science. In dark blue, 88%, which is great. So nice job at Evergreen, and Evergreen knocked it out of the park here with the growth. Tremendous job. And what stands out here is the 100, the academic growth score, and the ELA and the math of 100, which they just did an outstanding job of growing the students there. Ramsey, all 3 green. For the achievement, we move to the growth, 2 green and a red. So we've already begun discussions there and talking about the red and putting some interventions in place there with the principal, and we're moving that along here the 2nd semester. So we do have some work to do there in terms of the growth. University Park, nice job with the achievement, as you can see here, 2 blues and a green. For ELA, 78%, almost 79, 82% in math, and outstanding job in science at 91.4%.
Notice the math score at University Park compared to the statewide goal for us in 2030. I think I talked to Ms. Hoffman and she said, well, technically, Bill, 20 years, we don't have to worry about it. I said, no, Jim, we gotta.
Yeah, so they've already exceeded that and did an outstanding job there. Growth for ELA, it's the academic growth score of 73, 100 in math, outstanding job there in math, and for science a 74. So some good things happening there at University Park. Bucket 2, we'll review some of the on-track measures. And just a reminder, some of those on-track measures are the English language proficiency, attendance, and the early indicators of success, which we did not do. That was for 3rd and 7th grade. So primarily ELL and attendance. Instead of going through all the slides, this is just a snapshot of what those slides from the database looks like. So the IS, there's insufficient sample, not enough students there to determine. In terms of regular attendance, the state average of 85.4. All of our schools met the standard except one. And keep in mind that regular attendance data is lagging, meaning it's from 2 years ago. So even things we put in place this year to help with some of that, we won't see for another year or two because the attendance data lags.
We were somewhat surprised because the data reflects, the performance data reflects this past year. However, the attendance data is from 2 years ago. Different total group of kids. Totally agree. No explanation why.
And then bucket 3 is college and career.
And as Dr. Short spoke about these, the career standards benchmark, the graduation rate, some of the industry-based learning, rigorous course of studies, and the post-secondary transition, we're really trying to prepare students for their everyday lives. And it's been a really good experience, as you can see from some of the career standards benchmarks. You look at Mosside Middle, Gateway Middle, and the high school, all in the blue. In the 4-year cohort for the high school, all student group meeting the interim goal.
So just moving forward, again, this is all new. We just received this ourselves about a week, 10 days ago or so. So we'll be reviewing this information with our principals and the teachers. But moving forward, there's just a couple things we'll be working on to address some of the things that we see in the data. And of course, is the data analysis is number one. We'll take a look at the dashboard. We also have the CDTs, the MAP assessments, and looking at that data and those assessments to really personalize interventions on where our students are at and trying to grow them. And so those are some of the things that we'll be doing. We're also part of a math cohort. It's primarily working with a 6th grade team, but we've kind of morphed it into a K-8, which has been great, getting some of those teachers together and talking about the scope and sequence and the continuum of mathematics skills.
And also even talking about the equity work that we're doing district-wide. Not only do we want to make sure that every kid is appropriately challenged, we want to make sure that every student has the resources provided to them in order to be successful. So that's really in the center of our work. We're partnering to provide tutoring to make sure that students can get everything that the remediation that they need, and also taking a look at some of the schedule adjustments for the secondary. We're planning right now for the school year next year at Gateway High School to really strengthen the support systems that we provide to students, the additional time. We're also taking a look at middle school as well. We want to make sure that we create the most optimal learning environment for our students. It's really up to us to structure that, to provide additional time, to provide remediation time, to assure that all of our students can be successful. The additional supports for student transitions, we're really looking at, and we know that as students progress through our district, there's a couple areas where there's going to be this huge transition. Everyone thinks about that 9th grade transition. We're looking at building a 9th grade academy. We want to do a better job in making sure that we could support kids as they come to the high school, not only kids but parents as well. I understand there's a lot of uncertainty for parents as the kid transitions to high school, and we want to make sure that we're doing the best potential job to make sure that everyone is successful during this transition. Also looking at Gateway Middle School as well. Yes.
My son's a 10th grader this year, but before 9th grade, he was really nervous that they were. He was really nervous about finding his classes. I know, and I have some friends that have, when they open the building up a day or two before the school year starts, and the kids can walk their schedule on their own time. Is that something we need to think? I mean, it wouldn't affect him, it would affect my daughter.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we want to weave into the 9th grade transition program next year. We talked about a scenario where we can welcome 9th grade students in a day early, and we can run transportation and everything, and they would be picked up. They may not be too happy about this because their summer would end one day early, but what better time to bring 9th graders in just as a 9th grade cohort, receive their schedule from their homeroom teachers, walk through the schedule, get to meet their teachers, get that familiarity with the building, just that comfort level before anyone else gets here. And then maybe in the other half of the day, we could potentially do some team building with the 9th grade teachers. So that's definitely on the agenda for as we move forward. Potentially looking at career academies as well. Now, this fits into that third bucket of the industry ready. We're looking at all ideas, maybe even creating some type of teaching academy here at the high school where students can elect to take an intro to education course. We already have a phenomenal daycare center, and we're looking at partnering where we can have our students go down to the elementary schools, provide tutoring, and also kind of create our own learning environment here, potentially somewhere in the high school where we can say, all right, we have X amount of students, high school students, that can be here for tutoring, for the math courses, for the ELA courses, or whatever students may need. And this is district-wide because we all of us have kids, and we share your pain in some of the math homework. I know I do for sure. So what better idea than to have a place within our own school districts so parents don't have to go out to Huntington or to find tutoring on their own. And it's a win-win because our students can be providing the instruction, our students can be getting that career industry-based experience, and our students can be getting paid to do service for some of our younger students within the district. And even for the item number 4, the safe and supportive learning environment, we understand at the end of the day, we can have blues and greens and all the other great things in the academic rigor in the classroom, but first and foremost, you want to make sure that your child is safe at Gateway School District. And we understand that. That's our first priority with the OVEUS implementation, the bullying program, constantly looking at some of the safety measures. We do safety walkthroughs, we do the ALICE drills, we do all of those different things in order to prepare students. So that's definitely on our mind as the first priority. This Safe to Say Something program, this is an anonymous tip line that's going to be rolled out by the Office of Attorney General. And it's a very intuitive app. We know that cell phones are a reality for everyone. You can actually go onto the App Store, download the Safe to Say Something program. It's not available yet. It's going to launch on January 14th. Any student can make an anonymous tip right from their cell phone, from a computer. And there's also the 800 number. We have a 5-member team here at the district that are going to be the leads on the Safe to Say Something program. We're going for training this week to receive some resources from the state in order to roll this out by January 14th. So students are going to be trained. There's going to be available training for parents and also all staff members. So we're excited about that program.
Then the last 2 there is just technology planning. Really is ongoing. We're meeting with principals, and we'll be meeting with the staff to assess our technology integration and to provide the necessary professional development. And also this year we were recognized from Common Sense Education for our efforts in digital citizenship last year with the students, and we're continuing those efforts again this year. There was a question about one-to-one. We've begun some of that in Mosside Middle School with the iPads, and that's always it's an ongoing conversation that we have. We do have a lot of devices right now. We're not necessarily one-to-one, but that is something we'll be discussing here in the next few months. And that takes us just to the link to the Future Ready Index. If you want to just click on that, Maiko. And that'll take you right to the site there. You can just search, if you search by name and type in Gateway, should bring up all of the schools. Or if you just hit the search, there you go. Down below, and just then click on the name, and then it'll kind of take you right through what you saw this evening. So, if you have any questions, we'll stick around here if you have any questions, any particular questions. Other than that, I want to thank you for coming and appreciate it. Thank you.
They don't give an overall number like this.
There's no number, correct. It's the color coding.
It is confusing.
Yeah.
That was a good point you made about the ELA, because with that formula, with the old SPP, that was doubled, as far as the formula went, not the actual percentage of proficiency, but how it was weighted. That's been taken away with this particular model.
And there's a lot more to this dashboard than what we showed. If you click, there's a lot of tabs that you can click and really drill down, as you can see on the screen. And most of this is by school, not by district. So it'll be school level data for the most part. There is a tab there for district, but most of what you'll see is school level data.
Before you had like an extra credit for AP classes that kids were got fives on their scores or not. Do they have that kind of stuff coded into this as well?
They do have informational. Some of the gray boxes either are not for that grade level or just for informational only. So to answer your question, yes. So for rigorous course of studies, it's AP, those types of things. So maybe not like the old one, but it is embedded in the dashboard.
Say, because I know in Gateway's course description book, there's a ton of AP classes.
There are a lot, yeah.
A lot.
That is a luxury. We have a lot of courses that the students can select.
So there's an example of the rigorous course of studies.